I just wanted to briefly touch on is your chapter 10, which is really about the science of self care. And one of the things that you had in here is I'm a huge fan of Dacher Keltner, University of California, Berkeley. And he writes a lot about awe and how do you experience in everyday life. And I love his concept of moral beauty. I probably talked about it more than any other concept. And I actually, in my children's book, put this into life because I've created a whole platform called Pass the Ripple, where his moral beauty is all about everyday acts of kindness or how you experience awe in the most pervasive way. And you can
Hmm.
do it every day. So I thought, what a great way to teach kids that they can experience awe by performing acts of kindness. And acts of kindness is something that you like to talk about as well. So I was hoping we might be able to end here. And what practices do you suggest that listeners can do to implement this more in their everyday life?
I love awe and the studies that came out so recently on the power of awe and actually how it's such an antidote for anxiety and is actually more potent than even like forms of gratitude for anxiety. Gratitude's very powerful and has a lot of research behind it. But awe, I think I was so excited to read that research when it came out. It's my favorite type of tool to weave in into my work as well. So I understand why you're so drawn to it. And I think the interesting part of that is like we can really find awe in the most small, mundane moments, and we can be intentional about the awe. And so we can actually intentionally seek it out on purpose. And I think that's the point of all of this is these can be the set of tools and you could listen and be like, wow, uh-huh, that makes a lot of sense. But these are not things that necessarily from an evolutionary standpoint we are predisposed to doing naturally. These are things that we have to intentionally make time and space for and create. And so yes, like seeking out awe, whether it is whatever can bring you awe. For me, it's a piece of music. And if I notice myself getting lost in it and transcended, that is awe to me, and I mark that down and I revisit it. Or experiencing awe comes from being present. So when you go out for a walk or you look out of your window, you asking yourself like, what am I truly seeing right now? And you'll notice things that were always there, the tree that was always there outside the window, but just today, because you're asking yourself to zoom in on it and focus it the way that it is moving in the wind against the backdrop of the sky, that can bring you this sense of awe, which is this feeling of being transcended, inspired, or feeling like you are a small part of something much bigger. And there's a lot of protective measures psychologically in awe. And yes, so much research done on small, big, all kinds of acts of kindness. Something that I always like to throw in is acts of kindness is actually protective against depression. And so I thought that was really interesting. I talk about it a lot. When someone is going through depression, our intuitive response is to not burden them, of course, with anything. We'd love to help, but we're not going to burden them with asking for help when someone is experiencing that level of struggle. But really, research shows one of the best things we can do is actually ask them for help, is to help put them in an experience of doing something kind for somebody else. It is literally like a prescription. So the next time you
Mhm.
have a friend that is struggling, obviously, if it depends what type of struggle it is, but is emotionally struggling and you needed, I don't know, an airport pickup or you were going to go volunteer somewhere and you thought, oh, I'm not going to ask them because they're obviously burdened. Try to put yourself out there and think of it as a way of helping them and ask them to come with you and volunteer. Like you could be very well giving them the tool and the skill that they need that is really helpful to put them in a place that is protective against the pervasive inner spotlight that depression makes you feel and help them feel connected and part of something bigger and a sense of self mastery